Happy Monday. All right. Oh, whoops. Change some camera settings. Forgot to update this one. Today we just got a news day. No deep dive really. I guess we kind of have a bit of a focus on the FCC today. Who Trump's pick would be and what would it mean for consumers and tech, and also Verizon and AT&T complaining that the FCC punished them for selling user data. And then Chegg, the classic Chegg. ChatGPT is essentially putting them out of business. Their stock is worth pennies and going to be, and people are afraid they're not going to be able to pay the bills. Right. Exactly. When I saw that, I was like, oh wow. It's like feel it personally. And then a few quick stories, and then if we get to it, Cloudflare shared some cool stats about internet traffic and cyber attacks during the election, and also they every quarter they do like a censorship kind of report and share what kind of governments have censored their citizens by kind of shutting off the internet or blocking things. And yeah, let's get to we'll start with the Chegg one just because just kind of went off, and then we'll move to the FCC stuff. Just looking at this guy, bro. Trump has something about his picking people who look like villains. Like this dude looks like fucking Mr. Freeze or something. All right. How ChatGPT brought down an online education giant. Chegg stock is down 99%, and students looking for homework help are defecting to ChatGPT. Let's actually look Chegg stock price. Oh, it's up today. Yeah, online cheating giant. Exactly. Oh, what'd they peak at? $113. Now they're at $1.80. Wonder why they peaked today. It's a good day for it. Wonder why. Oh, they have earnings. Wow. Anyways. Yeah. Most companies are starting to figure out how artificial intelligence will change the way they do business. Chegg is trying to avoid becoming its first major victim. Arguably already has. Online education company. This is being generous. Online education company was for many years the go-to source for students who wanted help with homework or potential tool for plagiarism. The shift to virtual learning during the pandemic sent subscriptions and stock prices to record highs. Then came ChatGPT. Suddenly, students had a free alternative to the answers Chegg spent years developing with thousands of contractors in India. Instead of Chegging the solution, they began canceling their subscriptions and plugging questions into chatbots. Oh yeah, here's their stock price. Yeah. When was this for? Wait, when did ChatGPT launch actually? What if it was trending down before this? Launched in 2022. Oh yeah, it was trending down way before ChatGPT. Wonder if they like announced it, or like why were they trending down so much? November 30, 2022. Dang, interesting. Seems like they just weren't really making money anyways. Since ChatGPT's launch, Chegg has lost more than 500,000 subscribers who pay up to $20 a month. $19.95 for a month for pre-written answers to textbook questions and on-demand help from experts. Its stock is down 99% from early 2021, erasing some $14.5 billion of market value. Bond traders have doubts the company will continue to bring in enough cash to pay its debts. Though Chegg has built its own AI products, the company is struggling to convince customers and investors still has value in market upended by ChatGPT. I mean, like, realistically, I don't really know how they would be able to pivot to like compete, because realistically you're not going to compete with any ChatGPT unless you make your own, which they kind of tried to, but like, yeah, I don't really know what they would do. I mean, unless they actually turn to more like actually helping you study, but realistically, like, I mean, the student's just going to take the easiest path, and like, it's, yeah, I don't know. They offer tutoring? Okay. Even then though, like, yeah, I don't know. A survey of college students by investment bank Needham found 30% intended to use Chegg this semester, down from 38% in spring. It's 8% decline, I guess. And 62% plan to use ChatGPT, up from 43%. Dang. I want some to use accents too thick to understand. I mean, they probably just, you know, pay people from like India like dirt cheap, and then you know, charge American prices. Yeah, Indian contractors. Yeah, dang. I mean, yeah, I feel like they. Yeah, I don't know how big the tutoring market is, but I feel like the tutoring market's like pretty big for, especially for like more, I don't know, like Ivy League type of places, I guess, where parents could pay for it. Dan Rosenwig, Chegg CEO of more than a decade, stepped down in June after the stock cratered under his leadership. Chegg said Rosenwig notified the board of directors he planned to retire a year in advance. Dang. Or that's just saving. 5.27. I mean, they're down like 1 million like subscribers, but I mean, they still have a lot. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they still have a lot of money. Bro, what are they even spending money on? No way that's their subscribers. I don't know. Bro, they're bringing in $87 million like a month, essentially. What are they? Yeah, I mean, like, bro, what is their, yeah, how much do they cost to operate the like business, like run the business? Company veteran Nathan Schultz took over as CEO and laid off 441 employees, almost a quarter of Chegg's workforce. Okay. Yeah. Okay, what do they have 1,000 employees for? That's crazy. I'm assuming they're not counting contractors. It's pushed for international expansion and outlined a plan for Chegg to become useful to students for more than just homework answers. In an interview, Schultz said Chegg was dealing with a hangover from the growth it experienced during the pandemic and its uncertain outlook for the classroom policies around AI. He said Chegg plans to target more serious students than what he calls the curious learner by offering more comprehensive answers and services such as counseling. I assume that's like tutoring too. But I guess they already offer that, like you said. In moments of disruption, you have focus on what you do best, he said. Researchers at the University of Illinois at Urbana Campaign conducted a study in the spring last year to see how ChatGPT had influenced cheating in an introductory programming course. I mean, like, come on. Introductory programming course. The easiest course you'll ever take. They found students had overwhelmingly moved to ChatGPT from what researchers called plagiarism hubs such as Chegg. It appeared that they completely shifted over from trying to find online solutions and copying them to just going to ChatGPT and having it generate solutions for them, said Craig Ziles, professor of computer science at the University of Illinois. Chegg spokeswoman said, "We take any attempt to misuse our platform extremely seriously, cooperate with official university investigations into allegations of cheating, and invest in our technology and solutions to prevent such actions." OpenAI declined to comment. Like, what's a university investigation gonna do? Like, oh, did they use your answers? Chegg's like, yeah. They're like, okay, thanks. This is like, OpenAI's like, bro, I don't have time to deal with this shit. You know, now we're like dealing with like government secrets and stuff. You know, we're working with, you know, defense partners. You think I care to ask how universities use ChatGPT to cheat? Down 48% in a day. Chegg began as a message board for Iowa State University students with a name that combines chicken and egg. It evolved into a textbook rental company during the 2000s and began offering human-created online study guides in 2010. Dang, I didn't realize Chegg has been around that long. (2006). Wow. Bro, they're still bringing in good money. Rosenwig, a former Yahoo executive who became CEO in 2010, managed Chegg like a fast-growing technology company. He spent top dollar on employee pay and starred in an Ashton Kutcher-produced reality show called Going From Broke, in which he dispensed financial advice to young people trying to repay student loan debt. Okay. That's so random. Around 2022, as Chegg was already struggling with late pandemic turbulence in its business, employees asked for resources to develop AI tools for automating answers. Chegg's leaders initially denied the request, said a person who worked on the effort. Immediately after ChatGPT's release, some Chegg employees thought the company wasn't at risk because the chatbot's propensity to make up incorrect answers. Yeah, I think the problem is, though, with the college kid, like, one, you may not know if it's wrong, but also, like, it's just the easiest, like, least turbulent way to get the answer. And so, like, they're just gonna, like, you know, I don't know, it's just like easiest way to do it. So it's like, why would you not do that and you just trust that it's right? And then, like, it's not like, you know, once you submit it and you get it wrong, it's not like they're gonna stop using it for, like, for that thing because, like, I don't know, they already submitted it and it was wrong. Like, I don't know. I guess they had too much confidence in, like, the typical college kid, I feel like. Within months, Chegg's internal data showed students were increasingly turning to ChatGPT as a studying aid. Employees found some of the answers provided by ChatGPT, or by GPT-4, technology behind ChatGPT, scored higher on internal evaluations than answers from Chegg's human experts. Yeah. I mean, GPT-4, yeah, but, like, early ChatGPT, like, I feel like that, yeah, definitely was bad. But, I mean, yeah, now modern day, it's like, oh, come on. Yeah, they can't compete at all. I guess, like, I wonder if Chegg, though... No, because I was gonna say, like, before, like, what I would do is, like, I would just search the problem in, like, Google or the search engine, and then Chegg would pop up, and as the answer, then it's like, okay, cool. But people aren't even doing that now, and so I'll say, like, Chegg could maybe, what if they just, like, used AI to answer a bunch of questions, then post them to their website, and then they kind of get, like, search engine rankings, which I'm sure they kind of already do, I'm sure, but people, I feel like, aren't even typing it into Google like that anymore. They're just going straight to the chat bots to do it. They don't even, like, get that chance. Around the time Rosenwig met with Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, The pair agreed to develop a service called Cheggmate that would use Chegg's repository of millions of answers in GPT-4 to instantly answer student questions and generate quizzes. As testing of Cheggmate began, Rosenwig said on May earnings call that ChatGPT had begun eating into subscriber growth. Chegg pulled a financial forecast for the rest of the year, and the stock dropped 48% in a day. That's crazy. By the following earnings call, Rosenwig said the company's AI features would no longer be called Cheggmate. He announced a second partnership with a startup called Scale AI, which is they're kind of another like big AI company that's popping up, that would help Chegg create more than 24 AI systems for different academic disciplines. More recently, the company's leaders have distanced themselves from Cheggmate, instead focusing on the technology behind it. Behind it is being infused across the company. We'll take Cheggmate and we'll toss it off a building, Schultz said in the interview. It's never a thing. And I feel like, okay, so like if I were like what all the other like the companies who have like valuable data like this, I feel like they're licensing the data, but like with Chegg, it's like they don't even like OpenAI doesn't even need the data, because the whatever they've scraped or the data they have already could just answer the questions, you know? So it's like, what's even the point? Like no one's like, I don't even want this. They can't even like license the data to anywhere else. I mean, maybe someone would, but like they haven't done it already, then it's kind of, I don't know. You'd think that they would be a first wave, unless they just already scraped it and they don't even care. It's like, yeah, we just already scraped it for free. And it's not like Chegg could sue them, be like, this is our data. It's like, dude, you're literally, you know, providing textbook answers. Like, I feel like they could get complicated. Apping ChatGPT. What is apping? The company used AI to develop with Scale AI to answer homework and test questions that previously would have been outsourced to experts. It also revamped its website to greet visitors with textbooks similar to ChatGPT. The OpenAI app asks, "What can I help you with?" Chegg's homepage now asks, "What would you like help with today?" Are they saying ChatGPT asked this? And so anyways, Chegg's automated answers have allowed it to provide homework answers at about 1/4 of the cost of those produced by humans. The company has said the new tool haven't reversed subscriber losses though. Chegg's automated answers allow you. That's interesting. That's like a metric. That's like a KPI. They have like cost per human answer or cost per answer. But I think with Chegg, it's not necessarily about gaining subscribers back. It's about keeping what you have and then thinning out and like increasing margins. So I mean, yeah, this is kind of like, if they could keep the same amount of subscribers they have, but then increase the margins, then I mean that, you know, make up for it. But that's, you know, easier said than done. Chegg reported an 11% revenue drop in the second quarter, its biggest annual decline since 2017. Wall Street analysts expect the company to report a 15% decrease in sales when it announces third quarter earnings Tuesday. Oh, it's tomorrow. I'll try and remember to take a look tomorrow because I'm curious. Although it said this seems to be doing better. Not open anymore. Ahmad Asalami, a fourth-year student at TAFE University in Saudi Arabia, subscribed to Chegg recently for help on computer engineering problem. He was disappointed with Chegg's solution, which said at the bottom, instant responses come from subject matter experts, AI models trained on Chegg's learning content or OpenAI. I felt scammed. He preferred the answer from ChatGPT, which he frequently uses for schoolwork. I mean, I don't know. This one, I'm a bit confused on that one. Chegg said 91% of its users were satisfied with the product. Schultz said Chegg wanted to target students who need more than freely available answers from chatbots. Yeah. We've given the company a roadmap that integrates AI in the right ways for us, he said. Now we're in execution mode. Interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. Chegg's on the downhill, but to me, it just seems like it kind of started declining before ChatGPT. Like literally, they were growing up until 2022. Like their stock price started going down way before, like year before. It was always super shitty. I mean, yeah, it was like always super hit or miss. Or it was never as specific to what you needed. And yeah, exactly. Half were wrong. Yep, exactly. Just the best we had, exactly. Bro, comments on Wall Street Journal also are crazy. I always like reading because it's always interesting. Yeah. Anyways, I thought this was a fun highlight just because I used it a lot. I know people our age have definitely used it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they're what they do tomorrow. But doubt for Chegg though. Sorry. Just go to their website real quick before check it out. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, a good differentiator would be like breaking it down so you could learn with the answer, but I mean you could do that with ChatGPT too. That was one like when I use Wolfram Alpha more, like that was one benefit, was like I liked how it could kind of help you understand it a bit more than just giving you the answer. Bro, this is such a like they invited 837,000 people and 611 responded. I feel like that's crazy. That's not even close. Interesting. Oh, this is interesting. Huge benefits of top brands included with Chegg Study or Chegg Paid subscription. That's interesting. That's a good idea. Being more of like giving more benefits outside of just studying. But I mean, like, how much does it cost? Like, because like realistically, you know, both students are broke. I don't even see how much it costs anymore. Virtual study rooms, that's cool actually. That's a good idea. Yeah. Connect with other people. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Chegg how they could differentiate themselves from ChatGPT. We will see. All right, let's we'll talk I'll talk about this story real quick and then we'll cover the FCC. I have a larger deep dive I'm working on with AIs, kind of like these generative AI, their involvement in defense. But there's definitely been an uptick in these consumer kind of focused, you know, like Claude or Anthropic, OpenAI, Scale AI. What are the other ones that I mentioned? Meta's Llama, which we've covered them, you know, in the past on the stream. Oh wait. Oh yeah, especially for Gen Alphas who can't talk about people in the wild, bro. Literally, or type. Just kidding. But actually, yeah, AI involved in defense now. You know, all these consumer AI companies all of a sudden have essentially put ethics and morals aside, and they just kind of want to get a slice of the pie, get some government money. But yeah, they're putting all their, you know, previously, you know, ethical stances or like, you know, human AI safety, whatever, to the side. And like now they just are kind of just going the route of like, I don't know, every other big tech company who starts off with like good intentions, but you know, I don't know, they just see dollar signs and they kind of put all of that aside a bit. Claude's kind of the latest one with Anthropic. But theirs is through a partnership with Palantir, who Palantir already has large government contracts and have been working with the government for a while. And in that deeper dive I was talking about, I'll just share some right now. But you could see, this is Brookings Institute on artificial intelligence spending by U.S. government. And if we look, we could see these are like existing, and then these are the new dollars. Who's at the top? Palantir is literally number one, not like by like large sums of money, in both like obligated dollars and potential value of the contract. Like they're by far the top spender, and so Claude now is partnered with them, and they'll actually be working with government data. Critics worry Anthropic's endangering its ethical AI stance due to defense associations. Yeah, and Anthropic, I mean, not to even throw them on the bus more, they were like even like more cautious about AI safety, and they kind of were even like the leading like company in that, and that, like, you know, theirs doesn't even talk to the internet yet. So it's kind of interesting that now they are kind of the ones who kind of nixed a very large deal with Palantir. So it's interesting to see, and especially now with the theme of Trump's policy on AI is going to be like no regulation or deregulation. It's an interesting inflection point about what will happen with AI safety, if we'll see any incidents. I don't know if it'll go that far, but I think the problem is like when you're using AI for high risk situations, when it, you know, it's kind of dangerous when they've, like we just literally just read with, you know, Chegg, how it's not always accurate, and it's not like what they give to the government's any more accurate. You know, it just it still kind of puts that question up in the air about like if it's true, or yeah, I don't know. So let's read and we'll learn. Take my sweater off. All right. Anthropic has announced a partnership with Palantir and Amazon Web Services to bring its Claude AI models to unspecified U.S. intelligence and defense agencies. Claude, a family of AI language models similar to those that power ChatGPT, will work with Palantir's platform using AWS hosting to process and analyze data. But some critics have called out the deal as contradictory to Anthropic's widely publicized AI safety claims. And OpenAI has done the same. Like, they used to have in their like acceptable use that it couldn't be used for military purposes, and then they actually took that out, and then like they just took it out because obviously it would contradict them getting a contracts with the US government, or Microsoft using them to sell them to US government. Oh, my mic's humming. I literally just tested it right before. All right, I restart the audio engine. I need to have it monitoring. I think though my mic is just shit in the bed, because even in my like outside when I like test it every once in a while, it's always minor. Yeah. Thanks for the heads up though. This is a 31-minute read. Holy shit. But actually, I mean, the progress is the interesting part. Because I just saw another article where I guess GPT-4 to the next step up. I don't remember what OpenAI is calling it, but it's going to be much smaller than the from like GPT-3 to GPT-4, like the knowledge gain or the efficiency gain. It's going to be much smaller than that, and we're going to kind of hit a plateau here, I think, for a lot of AI stuff, until we get more innovations on compute, or kind of get the compute side figured out, because that's what it's going to come down to, is how much compute we could throw at the AI, or at the models to train them. Anyways, on X, former Google co-head of AI ethics, Timothy Gebru, wrote of Anthropic's new deal with Palantir. Look at how much they care about existential risk to humanity. I mean, yeah. The leadership makes Claude available within Palantir's Impact Level 6 environment, a defense-credited system that handles data critical to national security up to the secret classified level. This move follows a broader trend of AI companies seeking defense contracts, with Meta offering its Llama models to defense partners, and OpenAI pursuing closer ties with the Defense Department. OpenAI even put a former head of Cyber Command to their board, because they want to, kind of drum up business for the Defense Department, or at least just from the government in general. And in this Brookings Institute study I shared, look at, here it is. The biggest takeaway is, let me actually scroll up here. Here it is. Yeah, so from 5 years, so from 2018, from 2017 to 2022, nearly 90% of the government's contracts for spending on AI sat within the Department of Defense. Oh, what, Mike? I have the blue Spark, blue microphones, which is non-existent now. The blue Spark. Sorry, I just saw that. Yeah, nearly 90% of government AI contracts and spending sat within the DoD, which is about $261 million for guaranteed funding. Then the contracts essentially, like they'd be like, you'll at least get like this much, and then if you need it, you could get up to this much. And so it's kind of like it's called like the potential value. So the guaranteed value is 261 million, and the potential was 355 million dollars. From August 2022 to August 2023, so 1 year, the amount of guaranteed funding grew by 150%. $675 million now, and the potential value grew by 1,200%, so up to $4.5 billion. Again, with a majority of that coming from the Department of Defense. So that's just to show like what like slice of the pie that these companies are trying to get in on. And I'm sure now from today, August of this year, it's gone up if just as much, if not more. And it's going to continue to trend upwards. So that this is what the slice of the pie these kind of AI tech companies want to get a part of. In Scale AI, who I actually just mentioned, who we mentioned with Chegg, who Chegg partnered with, they have a specific like defense readiness, I guess. Yeah, like this is scale AI. This is, they literally, like if you go to products, like if you go to government or whatever, they have specific ones. So yeah, it's, everyone's trying to get in on Slide Spy. Anyways, let's continue. And then this IL impact level 6 environment is interesting because it's like it's kind of like how they grade the cloud environments, and I think AWS has it because they have the government section. Microsoft, I think, has it because they have their joint command or their large government contract. And so I think if you like partner with people like this, you could essentially like use their IL6 rating, like to help, like, you know, that's why they partnered with them, so Claude or Anthropic could kind of get in on that. Yeah, it's a powerful endorsement recognizing that Palantir has met defense intelligence or defense information something rigorous security compliance standards, and making it easier for U.S. government entities to use Palantir products for some of their most sensitive work. Oh, here, Defense Information Systems Agency. That's what it was. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Okay. In a press release, the companies outlined 3 main tasks for Claude in defense and intelligence settings: performing operations on large volumes of complex data at high speeds, identifying patterns and trends within the data, and streamlining document review and preparation. And again, this is like essentially what most like generative models are going to be doing. And that's essentially what like Llama, Facebook's Llama, they are doing something similar where they're essentially just synthesizing like documents. You know, they partnered with all these people, but like here we go. Synthesize aircraft maintenance documents so technicians can more quickly and accurately diagnose problems, speeding up repair time, getting critical aircraft service. Yeah, fine-tuning Llama to support specific national security missions such as planning operations, identifying adversary vulnerabilities. It's more of like, it's used in like analysis versus like support, like asking it questions, I guess. It's more like synthesizing data, which it does really well. Although OpenAI, which I kind of covered in a previous stream too, here they actually are being used in a AFRICOM, which, you know, does special operation missions for like killing and such. So like theirs could be different. Although they did say here too that it's also to synthesize information, but it's like things like interrogations, sift through troves of intelligence, rapidly transcribe and analyze interrogation audio data. So yeah. So there's a wide spread of like uses right now, but most of it is kind of like has in the realm of like analyzing data or something similar, as Claude is kind of doing here. While the partnership's announcement suggests broad potential for AI-powered intelligence analysis, it states that human officials will retain their decision-making authority in these operations. As a reference point for the technology's capabilities, Palantir reported that one unnamed American insurance company used 78 AI agents powered by their platform and Claude to reduce an underwriting process from 2 weeks to 3 hours. That's crazy. 78 AI agents to power by the platform. Unnamed. Wonder who that is. You could probably figure that out. I don't know if I care to right now, though. What was the other? Yeah, oh yeah, what I was going to say is like in terms of the decision making, that's a big thing too, and the Navy's head of the Navy's chief information officer said that this is from 9/6/2023, so it's about a year old now. So I mean, little older, but they said that yeah, they could produce hallucinations and biased results. Hallucinations are a phenomenon where responses include incorporated or fabricated data that appears authentic. For this and many other reasons, these tools must be accompanied by a robust review process, which includes the critical thinking skills of human expertise. And that's what it seems like they're kind of getting at here, where like they're not actually making decisions yet, and it's more so human oversight. It's like the humans are overseeing it very closely. Yeah, human officials will retain the decision-making authority, which is good. The new collaboration builds on Anthropic's earlier integration of Claude into AWS GovCloud. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. AWS has their own kind of government-sanctioned cloud service where they meet all the regulations and shit. A service built for government cloud computing. Anthropic, which recently began operations in Europe, has been seeking funding at a valuation up to $40 billion. The company has raised $7.6 billion with Amazon as its primary investor. So Anthropic is essentially what Anthropic and AWS's relationship is exactly or similar to what OpenAI and Microsoft's is. Microsoft owns 49% of OpenAI. AWS, I'm sure, owns a similar large stake. And they're kind of each other's AI bets. An ethical minefield. Here we go. Yeah. Since its founders started Anthropic in 2021, the company has marketed itself as one that takes an ethics and safety-focused approach to AI development. The company differentiates itself from competitors like OpenAI by adopting what it calls responsible development practices and self-imposed ethical constraints on its models, such as constitutional AI system. It's interesting, and it's interesting because I know that this kind of guy followed in the space wanted to create, like, there's ideas to essentially create your own AI management system where AI is like kind of is coded more strictly to then oversee other AIs, just like a normal workplace, but like with the managers, and they could kind of then decide and, like, filter things that are good or not, and then they could kind of tell the like non-manager AI to go back and be like, this isn't good enough, and then redo the answer until it fits something within the like ethical standard or something. And especially with the AI agent kind of architecture becoming more relevant, especially in enterprises, that kind of system like would fit really well within the AI agent model, I feel like. And it might, while you would still need to have a human overseeing, it would like limit that, I feel like, a lot more, or at least provide some more moderation before a human has to get involved. As Futurism points out, this new defense partnership appears to conflict with Anthropic's public, quote, good guy persona, and pro-AI pundits on social media are noticing. Frequent AI commentator Nabil S. Quershi, oh, I'm so sorry, bro, I butchered that name, on X, quote, imagine telling this safety concerned effective altruist over, that's remember the last stream I brought up, effective accelerationist. Effective altruist are a similar, that's where effective accelerationism actually came out of. Anyways, effective altruist founders of Anthropic in 2021, that a mere 3 years after founding the company, they'd been signing partnerships to deploy their AGI model straight to the military front lines. Dang. See what the tweet says. Oh, yeah, quoting Palantir. Can you do an analysis for our geopolitical adversaries and their capabilities? Yeah, and that's the thing, and this is the contradictory part. When I was trying to create like a thumbnail or something for the video I'm working on, this AI in a defense video, and OpenAI wouldn't actually make, or like, you know, ChatGPT wouldn't generate an image for me about it. But it's like, bro, but but I'm making the video about you being used in defense. You know, it's just kind of like, I don't know, a lot of contradictory statements. And I mean, this is literally the similar thing. You know, it's like, I don't know. And I get it. They don't want like to allow everyone access, because our adversaries could then come and use our own AI stuff for things like geopolitical or like, you know, military capabilities, which I mean, China already has used Llama. But yeah, and I do, and that goes to the bigger point of like this nationalized AI, kind of like what China's doing, where they're almost pooling resources together to create like one large AI model. And that's what kind of Llama and Facebook and Meta, Zuck want to kind of do. And you know, that's why I feel like they open source theirs, is so they could have like one, you know, nationalized large model that a bunch of people can contribute to be able to get the AI dominance before China. And that seems really interesting to actually cover. I'm interested in kind of looking into that more. Anyways, yeah, okay. Aside from the implications of working with defense and intelligence agencies, the deal connects Anthropic with Palantir, a controversial company which recently won a $480 million contract to develop an AI-powered target identification system called Maven Smart System for the U.S. Army. Wow, I didn't know that. Project Maven has sparked criticism within the tech sector over military applications of AI technology. Yeah, I mean, once you have... Okay, I guess let's look at this. Wait, let me look at this, because AI. Wow, this is 2018. And ironically, Google is probably going to be the one like scrambling to get the projects like this. But AI has been used in defense in like plenty before. And I talked about that in the video. You know, like yeah, machine learning's been used for a while in defense applications and things like autonomous vehicles and drones, used in platforms like the F-35. Like they have an insane like machine learning system for, like they use it for things like targeting, to be able to differentiate between like a plane and its flares, or like radio signals and things, and like signal intelligence, like things like that. You know, machine learning and AI have been used in for like a while. And even still in like data analysis, like supply chains, interpreting satellite data, like AI and machine learning has been used in that. So I mean, like, yeah, this is controversial, but realistically, it's probably already being used in some sense already for targeting or target identification. I think the new part is it's more so using generative AI, like the Llamas, the Claudes, the ChatGPTs in defense. That seems to be new and is a bit more washy because of its hallucinations and it's potentially generating inaccurate data. Worth noting that Anthropic's terms of service do outline specific rules and limitations for government use. These terms permit activities like foreign intelligence analysis and identifying covert influence campaigns, while prohibiting uses such as disinformation, weapons development, censorship, and domestic surveillance. Government agencies that maintain regular communication with Anthropic about their use of Claude may receive broader permission to use the AI models. Even if Claude is never used to target a human or as a part of a weapon system, other issues remain. While its Claude models are highly regarded in the AI community, they, like all LLMs, have a tendency to confabulate, hallucinate, whatever word you want to use, potentially generating incorrect information in ways that is difficult to detect. That's a huge potential problem that could impact Claude's effectiveness with secret government data, and that fact, along with the other associations, has Futurism's Victor Tingerman worried. As he puts it, quote, It's a discerning partnership that sets up the AI industry's growing ties with the U.S. military-industrial complex. All right, the streak keeps going where I mentioned the U.S. military-industrial complex, whether I do or the article. A worrying trend that should raise all kinds of alarm bells given the tech's many inherent flaws, and even more so when lives could be at stake. Yeah. Now, I think the end goal, and while this is a very optimistic view, the end goal would be to use AI to, and I think I said this before, to essentially limit the innocent and even just human lives in general that we have to take, and make things more efficient so tax money could be used better and elsewhere. That would ideally be the best case scenario. But that's just like, I don't know, that's very optimistic, and especially with like the kind of path we're on now. Imagine trusting a schizophrenic person with the military operations. AI, yeah, literally, actually. Yeah, it's like hallucinating, has like, it's like a, that's a good comparison. That's good. I'm gonna steal that. That's so good. Yeah, it's like, imagine giving a person with dementia, like, the ability to target, people with weapons. Like, that's so good. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting to see kind of the flip-flops or the justifications that they have to do. And I think though, like, now that this AI stuff is gonna be more in the political spotlight, I think that it's kind of like this is to be expected more. Because I mean, just think about like politicians in general. It's like they flip-flop all the time. Like, yeah, they're hypocrites, whatever. But it's kind of, they just kind of follow the cycle. I don't know. It's like whatever the rhetoric is, they just kind of follow it. And we definitely saw that. And I feel like now that these AI companies are becoming much more political and intertwined with military-industrial complex and just the government, federal government in general, that we're gonna see these like weird hypocritical type of things, like where it's just like, at the time AI safety was big, but like now it's kind of just like whatever. And so they don't really care about what they said in the past, and they're just kind of chase the dollars. And unfortunately, especially with most of them taking venture capital and not really being profitable, like they have, the venture capitalists, the investors, the Amazons, the Microsofts, like they want them to chase, profitability and like bring in income so they could sustain themselves. And like, this is where they're going to head to. Like, consumer market's only so big, and enterprise market is still like early and not that mature. And also like there's a lot of competition. So like, this is kind of money that they could take in to subsidize kind of the losses that they're taking. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go further down a more ethically questionable route and we kind of see more uses in like weird things, like, or not weird, but like morally questionable or ethically questionable things like the Defense Department. Yeah, interesting times, especially with the likely light regulation, if any, that will be coming along with the Trump administration. Let's actually, I wasn't going to talk about this because we kind of talked about policy under Trump last stream or the last week, but and now we'll talk about this at a different time. This is a long one because I'm really curious. I'm interested to see how tech policy like is influenced by kind of like the likes of Elon Musk and kind of the other like tech people who have cozied up to Trump a bit. I'm interested to see what like policy they actually want to push and like kind of how the Trump administration like actually implements it in a way that won't like actually fuck over the people who are pushing the or suggesting policy, because I just know that I feel like there's gonna be like drama with people who supported Trump, like tech people who supported Trump, maybe even Elon Musk. I don't know, maybe not Elon Musk, but he he essentially goes against what they thought he might do or wants to do for whatever reason. And I just feel like that there's going to be some tension there. And even Elon Musk, where, you know, Elon Musk believes in climate change. He supported the AI safety bill that California put out. And some of the things are completely contradictory to what Trump believes in or wants to push. And so I'm interested in like that relationship and like how that will actually play out, if Trump will follow through on some stuff, and if he'll fuck over large donors or supporters that supported him like during the campaign. So yeah, and I think space is going to be a crazy one because Elon Musk is incentivized to do whatever. I mean, they're the leading space company for the United States. But yeah, and also I do think that there's an interesting trend in this, like a more nationalized race to beat China. I think, you know, like, or the big, you know, mainly China, I guess. But I think that there's gonna become like this trend of like nationalizing support, like rallying under like a single company to be able to just beat China at all costs. I think SpaceX is going to be the leading one for space. I mean, they're just leading in general, and especially now with Elon Musk potentially helping out with the Trump administration. And then we have AI, and Elon Musk XAI Grok is actually open source. I didn't realize that. I don't know how, if he released training data or whatever, but, and then we have Llama's AI, or Meta's Llama model, and I think they're going to be a fight over like a centralizing or nationalizing some sort of development for like of a artificial intelligence or like artificial general intelligence AGI kind of model, just to beat China. Because even in that like AI going to war, I found a report from the Defense Department essentially saying that we're behind China and that we should increase AI spending to catch up, and that like China kind of got ahead because we weren't too close on, or like we weren't on the ball early enough in terms of government spending on AI. So yeah, anyways, we'll save this for another time. Let's get into the FCC stuff then. We'll swap gears. We'll go out of the AI stuff. We'll start with this one. Let me close some tabs here. Too many open. Anyways, thanks for listening to my, I could yap about policy stuff forever. Okay. Actually, I might talk about that story too. All right, intermission. All right. Verizon's AT&T tell courts FCC can't punish us for selling user location data. Carriers claim location data isn't protected, say they have the right to a jury trial. Oh, I forgot. New FCC. Yeah, so they have a right to a jury trial. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are continuing their fight against fines for selling user location data, with two of the biggest three carriers submitting new court briefings arguing that the Federal Communications Commission can't punish them. A Verizon brief filed on November 4th and an AT&T brief filed on November 1st contests the legal basis for the FCC fines issued in April 2024. T-Mobile also sued the FCC, but briefs haven't been filed yet in that case. Verizon's petition for review stems from the multiple and significant errors that the FCC, in purporting to enforce statutory consumer data privacy provisions, made in overstepping its authority. Bro, Jesus Christ. Talk about lawyer speak. Verizon wrote, the FCC forfeiture order violated both the Communications Act and the Constitution while failing to benefit the consumer it purported to protect. I don't know. The FCC is sticking up for us for you guys selling our location, like live location data. Like, I don't know. I'm okay with that one. Verizon and AT&T both said the fines violate their 7th Amendment right to a jury trial and that the location data doesn't fall under the law cited by the FCC. Verizon appealed to U.S. courts appeals for the Second Circuit, while AT&T appealed to the Fifth Circuit and T-Mobile appealed in the D.C. Circuit. Jesus. So that's interesting because we'll get a plethora of different like opinions from judges to kind of understand what's actually like the truth or like what should actually happen. So I'm curious what the outcomes of these will be. Let me actually just look. I'm curious what the Second Circuit, where it's at. It's in New York. Okay. Yeah, it will. But also, I wouldn't be surprised. They might get to it. Yeah. Because I want to start with this because this is next we're going to cover who the potential FCC pick is for Trump. So figured we'd start with this. Okay, so this is Texas, like more south. And then the DC circuit. So interesting. So we actually have, this will actually be very interesting because we have, you know, a more, you know, red state aligned district appeals court down here that AT&T will be taking. Then we have Verizon up in New York, which is, you know, more fiscally conservative but politically liberal district. And then DC, which I mean, DC is like, you know, left aligned, but I don't think it matters that much in DC because it's a bit more diverse in terms of who, like all the politics there. So anyways, the fines are $80.1 million for T-Mobile, $57 million for AT&T, and $46 million for Verizon, and $12 million for T-Mobile subsidiary Sprint. Bro, T-Mobile is the worst, especially if they have Sprint, so that's like $92 million. The penalties relate to the 2018 revelation of real-time location data being shared, which is crazy. The FCC proposed the fines in 2020 when the commission had a Republican majority, and the fines were finalized under a current Democratic majority. So that's interesting because it was proposed in when Republicans had majority still. So I mean, now that they are probably going to have that again, I wonder if they'll continue. It's also interesting because just to like think about the political alignment in terms of like data privacy, you know, like people on the right also, like it's actually a bipartisan issue. Like people on the right also don't like, you know, surveillance and like, you know, they value privacy, and people on the left also do, you know, value privacy too, digital privacy even, like, or more so, especially, you know, like the right has the libertarians, which they absolutely oppose of that, and they're even more, they're like the main party that pushes for privacy. So it's interesting that, you know, they I don't know, it seems like Trump wants, you know, he's like more of an authoritative ruler, and he doesn't like that. He wants to be able to do whatever he wants. And so yeah, no, exactly. And so that's what yeah, it's kind of, again, as like, it feels like more the upper class types of Republicans don't support it because they want to be able to use it to control, you know, those under them. I mean, think, you know, i.e. Trump in his kind of cabinet, like he wants to get rid of like FISA and all kinds of stuff, which is like weird, especially considering that, like, you know, you kind of like a good chunk of your party like doesn't like want that, or they actually want privacy at least. And so I mean, that kind of contradicts that. I don't know, it's interesting. interesting to see. And I think even the the left has similar views. I think that they have soft spots for certain things that would otherwise like give privacy or act as a slippery slope to leading to like losing privacy or gaining surveillance. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, I guess. And you're right, it is generational. You're right, yeah, because I feel like the younger crowd understands what it is, and like the older people just don't care or they don't understand. Yeah, and the generational thing's interesting too, because I think we're more so becoming like the middle class is kind of going away a bit as wealth inequality grows. The middle class shrinks, and we're becoming more you think the young kids don't? Yeah, that's interesting, because I mean, I guess if we think about it, like they are the most heavily like social media users probably, and like they essentially like TikTok. I mean, that's if the rumors are true about siphoning data of the Chinese government, you'd think that they would want to maybe stop doing that if they cared. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of like the don't care. It's kind of like the doomer mentality, I feel like, because those generations kind of have a bit of a doomer mentality. Like it does, it's like everything's going downhill already, so like might as well just give it to whatever. I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I feel like they should care, but I don't know. I'm too out of touch with with the younger Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I don't know. Yeah, bell curve. Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's you're probably right. That's a good that's a good observation. I wonder though, if our generation could hold it, then maybe we could I don't know. That'd be a part of my cyberpunk dystopia index. Taking surveys about different generations' care of privacy. If younger generations stop caring, then they're going to be taking advantage. Like companies are going to take advantage of that. Bro, Nightbot, relax. Yeah, hold the door. I have like 9 bots monitoring my chat right now. I need to consolidate. I was working on that yesterday. I use this one right here, which is like I essentially self-hosted here myself, and that's also what I use for like my chat and stuff. But then initially I did Nightbot, but then I also had Stream Elements. So yeah, better not mess around in this chat. I need to update that. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so it's going to be an interesting time for privacy legislation. So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, part of that interesting time, Trump's likely FCC chairs opposed fines. And we'll after this, we're going to dive deep into this dude who's Brendan Carr, that guy they're talking about. Even though the penalties were first proposed by Republican Ajit Pai, which we're also going to take a look at this guy, because if you followed any of the net neutrality stuff, you remember this guy and his obnoxious cup. This fucking cup, bro. Like, anyways, even though the penalties were first proposed by Republican Ajit Pai in his last year as FCC chair, the FCC's 2 current Republicans opposed the final fine orders in 2024. Brendan Carr, who is likely to become chair after President-elect Donald Trump takes office, said in his dissent that the FCC has only, quote, limited and circumscribed limited and circumscribed authority over privacy. and that the matter should be handled with the Federal Trade Commission instead. That's interesting. That is interesting. Because this doesn't look like good a good future for privacy, but he's like, no, the FTC should cover instead. What he realistically is going to happen then, if he continues this rhetoric, is that they're going to be like, okay, take money away from the FCC, his jurisdiction, what he's going to rule, and give it to the FTC. Like, I don't know if everyone's self-serving is like they say, like he wouldn't want that. The FTC is already underfunded. Same with the FCC, honestly, considering that the plethora of things that they're in charge of regulating. Now, Trump's theme of deregulation comes to fruition. That may not be a problem, I guess, but yeah. The FCC said in April that each carrier sold access to its customers' location information to, quote, aggregators, who then resold access to such information to third-party location-based service providers. In doing so, each carrier attempted to offload its obligations to obtain customer consent into downstream recipients of location information, which in many instances meant that no valid customer consent was obtained. Yeah. Especially in California, where things like that you have to obtain and you could opt out of. The problem, I mean, it's probably just lumped in with terms of service, though, is the shitty part. The problem came to light with reports of customer location data, quote, being disclosed by the largest American wireless carriers without customer consent or legal authorizations to a Missouri sheriff through location finding service operated by Securus, a provider of communication services to correctional facilities, to track the location of numerous individuals. The FCC said, even after becoming aware that their safeguards were ineffective, the carriers continued to sell access to location information without taking responsible measures to protect it from unauthorized access. Yeah, and I think this was the kind of controversial part, was that instead of actually getting a warrant to get stuff like this, police departments, sheriff departments would just buy the information and just go around them being to allow to get the warrant. Because it's like easier for them to do this, and also they don't have to, if they potentially lose, it doesn't even matter. They can just buy it. But again, it's a slippery slope. Now it's, could easily be used to misuse things. And the biggest argument I give about people, wanting to share, like who don't want privacy or like don't care to have privacy, is that, a criminal in California is different than a criminal in, Missouri here, especially now with abortion being a hot ticket item and it being straight up illegal. A woman who wants an abortion is a criminal to them. It's like, I don't want them then using, this data, or, sacrificing their privacy because then they're a criminal. They're going to use this information to go and, abuse their powers. So, it's like, I don't know, that's not cool. So that's kind of what I see here as the problem, and kind of with privacy stuff. It's like, it depends on who they consider a criminal, and that's the slippery slope. Verizon's court brief defended the company's location-based service program, saying it, quote, completed hundreds of millions of successful express requests from consumers to provide location information to service providers. The program ran for about a decade before being shut down amid the data scandal. Verizon claimed the FCC overreached in its fines since the Securus incident happened outside the statute of limitations. That's interesting. The FCC, however, did not punish Verizon for Securus or the sheriff's actions, which were the only unauthorized requests for or misuse of customer device information by any service provider participating in Verizon's location-based service program. The FCC acknowledged that those actions occurred outside the statute of limitations, so they could not support a forfeiture penalty. And by the time of the notice of apparent liability, Verizon had shut down its location-based service program nearly 1 year later, eliminating any potential current or going forward liability. The FCC therefore adopted a novel approach to generate an eye-popping penalty amount. The FCC punished Verizon for not terminating every other service provider from the location-based service program on a faster timeline. Interesting. So it seems like the claim is that, okay, you knew this was happening, but it still took you a year to shut it down. AT&T's brief similarly chided for the FCC for making Securus the centerpiece of its argument, despite the statute of limitations on potential Securus violations having expired. Interesting. Wait, what is this? This looks like they do something with like inmates. Issued order on rates. Is this the same company? Here's tech.online. Bro, they have like so many domains. Ah, here we go. Yeah, this is definitely them. But consulting store distribute information in real time. What an interesting company. Here it is. Yeah. Fucking Knox. Department of Corrections Facilities and Incarcerating Individuals. Subsidiary of Eventus Technologies. Or Eventive. Oh yeah, they have JPay. Like that's the name they came up with for like correct for jail, like JailPay, JPay. That's the name, I guess. Oh, and they do monitoring. Holy shit, bro! This company literally just is like a tech company for cops. Yeah, they're so, bro. Literally, bro. It's like you can't even make this up. Yeah, that's so true. Super generic. Yep. All right. Supreme Court ruling could hurt FCC case. Both AT&T and Verizon cite the Supreme Court's June 2024 ruling in Securities and Exchange Commission's v. Jarkissi, which held that, quote, when the SEC seeks civil penalties against a defendant for security fraud, the Seventh Amendment entitles the defendant to a jury trial. Okay, interesting. When the SEC seeks civil penalties against a defendant for securities fraud. Interesting. But that's the SEC, so I wonder what more specific in there says, like, makes it that it would apply to the FCC. The Supreme Court ruling, which affirmed a Fifth Circuit order. What circuit are they? Second? Oh, AT&T did the Fifth. Is that the this is the okay, more southern one. Which affirmed, yeah, the Supreme Court ruling which affirmed a Fifth Circuit order had not been issued yet when the FCC finalized its fines. The FCC disputed the Fifth Circuit ruling, saying, among other things, that the Supreme Court precedent made clear that Congress can assign matters involving public rights to adjudication by an administrative agency, even if the Seventh Amendment would have required a jury, where the adjudication of those rights is assigned to federal court of law instead. Jesus Christ. Congress can assign matters involving public rights to adjudication by an administrative agency. So I think that essentially they're saying that Congress assigned them the rights to do this, to adjudication, which I think doesn't necessarily mean or need a jury, by which arbiter or judge reviews evidence, argumentation, including legal reasoning set forth, obligations between the parties involved. Okay. Legal process of resolving a dispute. Yeah, so essentially they're arguing that Congress gave them the legal right to figure out the dispute themselves without a jury, even if the Seventh Amendment would have required a jury where the adjudication of those rights is assigned to a federal. Yeah, okay, so then they're saying that the actual process of figuring out who won or not would be assigned to a federal court of law instead. So they don't. Interesting. So they're just saying that Congress gave them the power to do this. Of course, the FCC will have a tougher time disputing the JARC ruling now that the Supreme Court affirmed the Fifth Circuit. Verizon pointed out that in the High Court's JARC decision, quote, Justice Sotomayor is in dissent recognized that JARC was not limited to the SEC, identifying many agencies, including the FCC, whose practice of imposing civil penalties in administrative proceedings would be upended. Verizon further argued, as in JARC, the fact that the FCC's civil penalties designed to punish is all but dispositive. Oh my god, I cannot read. Too many big words for me. Of Verizon, dispositive of Verizon's entitlement to an Article 3 court and jury rather than an agency prosecutor or adjudicator. Holy shit, bro. This lawyers speak, bro. Above my IQ. Yeah, so they think that they need to go to court. This is interesting because, well, obviously I don't want fuck the telecom companies for selling our live data. This is interesting because it does seem like that the Supreme Court kind of said that you needed a civil, you need to have a jury decide, but I mean, one that costs the government a shit ton of money to actually issue these fines, but it just it makes it so that they could just keep delaying indefinitely, and not really, and just push off having to pay these. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's just them wanting to play the game more. Carriers, we didn't get a fair notice. Both carriers said the FCC did not provide fair notice that its Section 222 authority over customer proprietary network information would apply to the data in question. When it issued the fines, the FCC said carriers had a fair notice. CPNI is defined by statute in relevant part to include information that relates to the location of a telecommunications service, the FCC said. The FCC also pointed to a previous statement that implicit in Section 222 is a rebuttal presumption that information that fits the definition of CPNI contained in Section 222H1 is in fact CPNI, customer proprietary network information. Interesting. While the FCC did not comprehensively identify types of consumer proprietary network information, including the case of location information, the commission emphasized that location information in particular can be very sensitive to customer information, the FCC said. Interesting. The carriers argue that location data is not customer proprietary network information. AT&T claims that Section 222 of the Communications Act does not cover the location information in question because the information was not obtained solely by virtue of AT&T's provisions of voice services. Ugh, what? AT&T collected the location information to provide both voice and data services, not voice only, the company said. See, this is, I guess, and this is the kind of other point. It's yeah, bro, you're they're just trying to weasel their way out of this now. It's the carrier argued that location data is not customer proprietary network information. AT&T claimed that Section 222 of the Communication Act does not cover the location information in question because the information was not obtained solely by virtue of AT&T's provisions of voice services. So this must be what it kind of says of like in that Section 222. Oh, here we go. The relevant law says that consumer proprietary network information is data related to telecommunications service that is made available to the carrier by the customer solely by virtue of the carrier-customer relationship. Yeah, the FCC said it is, quote, not persuaded that AT&T's inclusion of multiple services in a bundle, which includes one or more telecommunication services, takes the resulting relationship outside the scope of the carrier-customer relationship for the specific purposes of the customer proprietary network information definition. Yeah, so I think the problem is that like you essentially have no other choice. Like, no, these three, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and all their subsidiaries are, you know, essentially there's not many other options. Like you all other telecommunication or cell phone data providers, like everyone sells your location, and you can't not get a service that doesn't do that, I think, is the problem. So it's like you just have to accept that they're going to sell your location when you like sign up for a phone plan, and there's not really an alternative like to not have that. Like, you know, even the smaller companies, like I'm sure are selling your data. I think that's kind of the issue, is like there's no choice. Like you have to just accept that they're going to do that to use the service. And that's kind of going to be the issue too with you know, and this is a good transition because you know, if net neutrality, if data caps, if all this stuff goes away, or data caps come back or stay, like you have no other choice. Most places don't have many other internet service provider options. So if you want to go to an alternative that doesn't have data caps, there probably likely is not one, and you're just shit out of luck. And it's like kind of goes against what, you know, they say about competition, because like most places don't have other competition, or they don't care to innovate. It's like not AT&T or Comcast or whatever. They're not gonna all of a sudden get rid of the data caps to compete with the other ones. It's like instead they're just gonna charge less or something. You know, it's like they're not gonna get rid of it altogether, and so you end up just still stuck with the, you know, shitty restrictions that internet companies want to impose on you just to make another buck. Which is why, I mean, I think that internet service providers should become a utility, just like water and gas and all the other things. I think it's about time that, you know, it becomes a utility, because let's be real, like you can't do most things nowadays without internet. Like it's getting up there with the necessity for life of things like utility. And especially if, you know, we want to increase availability of, you know, internet, and like realistically, you know, and every big tech company should be incentivized to get as much people online as possible. I mean, that's how they, you know, the more people online, the more that they'll use their services, they'll see their ads, etc. That they'll get, you know, they'll get more money, I guess. It kind of equals. I think Facebook and Microsoft, maybe even Google, they supported, actually were funding a large transatlantic like fiber, like another one, or to improve it. But yeah, you have no idea how it'll look. I'm not going to say my ISP on here, but you know, I have a local one, and it's great because no data caps. It's reasonably priced. The speeds are great. And you know, their headquarters is, you know, in a next door city, and they have techs that just like live in the city here, and like something like that would be perfect. It's almost no different than, you know, the local municipals and things like that could, like, you know, play a similar role in like their local community. And like I could even see them, like, you know, lowering costs, or like giving like the same speed to everyone. Meaning give them a try. Yeah. I don't know. I think in terms of ISP, I'd always rather support a local one because it's generally, more friendlier. And when I had a tech come, I kind of said, I was like, hey, I'm happy that, I'm able to have a local internet service provider. And like, he was like thankful because he's like, a lot of people don't see that, or they don't understand like what having a local one, like the benefits you get like outside of competitive pricing. It's like, no, you don't, they don't care to make a buck off of you or whatever. It's like, they're just here to provide a local service. They make enough money and they don't constantly try and, chase more and get greedy. It's like, no, they're okay just serving the community that they are and grow at a more slow and natural pace. And I think, in the future though, where maybe something's more municipally owned, or internet companies more like owned, like you're treated like a municipal, you could have much lower prices. You could have like less speed caps. You could maybe even have it where it's like electricity, where there's during peak times it might change a bit more, although I like having a fixed price for internet. That might be a little too weird, but I don't know. I just think it'd be an interesting idea. And this actually might be a better interesting deep dive too, because there are more and more local internet companies popping out. I remember Ars had a article about a am I searching? I can't even see. Where like it's look here. Yes, that's right here. Man, built ISP instead of paying Comcast $50K, expands to hundreds of homes, and the government gave them money to do it. Oh man, I could rant forever about this because and I think I wrote about it in Technonomicon at the time. I think that's how I remember this, because Comcast, AT&T, all these large ISPs, they lobby against the state and government to not allow expansions like this, because this obviously hurts their business, and people would much rather pick their neighbor running it than some unknown big tech company. And the big ISPs don't want this. Big telecom doesn't want this, because yeah, I mean, and so I think in California there was something similar, but they essentially paid off too many like state legislators to allow pass something like this, which is crazy. But also that I think it's like a case-by-case basis where like you can't just go and start your own like this. You have to get like certain licenses and such, which have to be approved then, and then that's when the companies like the big telecom will oppose and offer, I don't know, essentially lobby to not get those to come through. Yeah, it's $55 a month. I mean, this isn't the best, but like unlimited data, like, it's not bad. Look, a gig with unlimited data for $79 a month. Like, that's competitive right there. Especially with unlimited data, because it's arbitrary. That it doesn't matter how much data goes through. Bandwidth costs is just a way to get people to, pay more money. Same with cloud computing, the bandwidth is, bandwidth equals more use of the equipment. It's still just them trying to eke out money, and that's why things like Twitch doesn't make money, is because of the bandwidth costs that they have to pay to AWS, even though Amazon actually owns them. And it's just, it's just a bit arbitrary. Yeah, this is anyways, let's see. But yeah, this is also wonder actually what they seems to be nothing broadband see more than L2. Yeah, like a landline phone to providers, common carriers must offer services to the public on reasonable terms. To regulate internet service providers as utilities, FCC must reclassify broadband as a telecommunications service a move that consumer advocacy groups and even President Obama have pushed the FCC to take. Dang, yeah, this has been going on for a while. It seems like the fight. Obama's proposal reclassification would only be used to impose net neutrality rules rather that prevent ISPs from blocking or throttling applications and websites, or from charging applications and websites for prioritized access to consumers. Yeah, I mean, that's what net neutrality kind of is. The FCC would be expected to avoid imposing more stringent utility rules in a legal process known as forbearance. Them are their fucking words. We spoke to the biggest cable industries trade groups. One big requirement Title II could bring is regulation of rates charged by internet providers, either imposing a uniform limit on what all providers can charge, or forcing each one to get permission for price increases and justify them based on the amount they invest in their networks. Yeah. Theoretically, the FCC could also enforce local loop unbundling, which would force network operators to lease access to last mile infrastructure. In turn, this could bring a new set of competitors who would resell internet services over the incumbents' networks without having to lay their own wires throughout each city and town, similar to how the DSL market operated before the FCC removed the unbundling requirement in 2005. Yeah. I think that's a issue, because then you get these, like, if we kind of nationalize things like the utilities, I mean, think about PG&E and like how, you know, they own their electrical lines, and so it's up to them to maintain it. And what did, you know, it wasn't you know, fiscally in their interest to maintain the lines, you know, maintain lines and, you know, trim to branches everything. It costs a lot of money to do it, and it's hard, and they have miles. But then you know, the lack of that results in largest, you know, wildfires in California, people dying, etc. You know, and right now with fiber, you know, while most of it's underground, if a company wants to break into a new market, they literally have to lay, you know, dig and drill and, you know, lay fiber underground, which is crazy expensive. But then if another company wants to come in, they have to do the same exact thing, which would be crazy. And I know that my local provider, I asked them specifically because there's an AT&T data center downtown, and I noticed that, you know, when I do pings, it bounces off the AT&T data center, and so I was just like curious. And so I asked them, and they said they're like, and I thought they were maybe using or renting out AT&T's cables, but they're like, no, we actually had to lay our own cable. Like, what the fiber we have is our own. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And you know, now that the 5G kind of modem, like the AT&T, or no, the T-Mobile Verizon, kind of is like, you know, the 5G internet is kind of becoming more of a thing without, you don't need to run the cables. And I mean, you know, makes sense because of how much it costs, but it allows, you know, Verizon or T-Mobile, Verizon, these more traditional, you know, outside plant kind of run the cable companies to penetrate markets like the one I'm in, where I only have a local service provider to access. But in, you know, for the normal person, let's be real, I'm just ranting at this point, but or just yapping, but the normal person, it doesn't really matter, because as long as they have, you know, enough to watch Netflix and browse whatever. Yeah, but like for someone who cares about, you know, latency and download speeds and upload speeds, you know, you kind of want the wire connection and the more consistent option. So yeah, anyways, okay, let's look at Trump's FCC chair pick. And he wrote Project 2025 chapter on how he'd run the agency, which I pulled up here. We're not going to read it here because it's 15 pages. It's really long. We might skim it. But they talk about it in here. So Brendan Carr wants to preserve data caps, punish NBC, and give money to SpaceX. Like, what a agenda. Republican who is likely to lead the Federal Communications Commission under President-elect Donald Trump detailed how he would run the agency when he wrote a chapter for the Conservative Heritage Foundation's Product 2025. Carr, a longtime opponent of net neutrality rules and other broadband regulation, has also made his views clear numerous of times when opposing rulemaking initiatives by current Democratic majority. Trump makes Carr the next FCC chairman. After his inauguration, the FCC is likely to ditch consumer protection initiatives like a recently announced inquiry into data caps and attempt to regulate big tech companies while reducing regulation of internet service providers. Is like, I mean, that's kind of just everywhere because, I mean, you know, Trump's, or let me finish reading and we'll go. That could include forcing big tech companies to pay into a fund that subsidizes ISP broadband network construction, which this is like surface level is, you know, okay. That's pretty cool. That's like an interesting way to get big tech companies to actually pay to expand the ISPs, which I was kind of talking about. Oh yeah, paste in the chat bot. All right, yeah, we'll try. So I mean, this could be an interesting way to kind of do that. You know, the unfortunate part is it's likely just going to be moving from one big text wallet to the other. You know, it's going to be moving from Google, you know, Facebook, Netflix's, Apple's wallet into Comcast, AT&T, Verizon. Like, does that do any good? Like, I don't know. You know, and like, any option to have a local broadband come in and use that, you know, those networks or whatever they build is just unlikely, I guess. Just being realistic. A Carr-led FCC could also try to punish news organizations that are perceived to be anti-Trump. Just before the election, Carr alleged that NBC putting Kamala Harris on Saturday Night Live was a, quote, clear and blatant effort to evade the FCC's equal time rule, and that the FCC should consider issuing penalties. Despite Carr's claim, NBC did provide equal time to the Trump campaign. And I mean, like... Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, I mean, it's just ironic, I guess. Like, it's the witch hunt, you know, that Trump claimed. It's, you know, this is a larger theme too of like, and I was just reading an article, where large, like progressive foundations are essentially kind of scared now that they're just going to be investigated, because they oppose Trump. And this is like, these are like the like rich people who like don't support Trump essentially. Yeah, we'll continue reading because it continues down this route. Carr might also try to steer money to Elon Musk's Starlink system. Carr was a vocal opponent of the FCC's decision to deny SpaceX's application for $886 million in government funding and claimed that President Biden gave federal agencies a green light to punish Musk after he bought Twitter. And I mean, like, it's like just sling out claims like this is crazy. Application review for Starlink services. Yeah. Deny an application for review. FCC chair's power. Carr became an FCC commissioner in August 2017 after being nominated by then President Trump. Carr was previously a legal advisor to Commissioner Ajit Pai and was briefly the FCC's general counsel during Pai's first year as chair in 2017. And just a quick review on Pai, he was essentially a Verizon lobbyist. Let's see. Yeah, he was a 2-year stint as an in-house lawyer for Verizon. You know, so it's literally, you know, the conflict of interest is crazy. Regardless of if he doesn't work there now, like that's still that crazy that you could just have someone who worked for the company that you're then going to regulate is just weird. Carr's Project 2025 chapter, published in 2023, said, quote, the FCC chairperson serves as the agency's CEO and is empowered with significant authority that is not shared with other commissioners. Kind of weird to like say that, you know? Like, I have the most power. The chair sets the FCC's agenda, decides what matters the agency will vote on when, and has authority to organize and coordinate the FCC's work, Carr wrote. Although the president's nomination for each commissioner requires Senate approval, the president can't appoint any sitting commissioner to the chair spot without a Senate vote, and he's already a commissioner. The FCC chair does not have unlimited power. Of course, Congress can expand or reduce the FCC's authority by passing new laws or eliminating existing ones, which is likely more so the trend with Trump wanting to deregulate things. FCC decisions are routinely challenged in court, and a recent Supreme Court filing limited the regulatory authority of federal agencies. Or what this one was. Carr wants the FCC to regulate less, at least when it comes to internet service providers. The FCC is a New Deal era agency. Its history of regulation tends to reflect the viewpoint that the federal government should impose heavy-handed regulations rather than relying on competition and market forces to produce optimal outcomes. Bro, but that's what I just spent time talking about. The competition is like, the competition isn't, remove data caps to attract customers. It's like, keeping them there but just lowering prices. Like, that's not what we want. That's not a good outcome. But realistically, it's not going to be even lowering prices like that. It's going to be trying to attract customers for different reasons, but keeping still the high, fees and everything that kind of happen behind the scenes. The FCC, he said, should engage in a serious top-to-bottom review of its regulations and take steps to rescind any that are overly cumbersome or outdated, and focus its efforts on creating a market-friendly regulatory environment that fosters innovation and competition from a wide range of actors, including cable-based, broadband-based, and satellite-based internet providers. See, this market-friendly just means giving the hands to those that, giving the passing over the power to those that are already big, like the local, internet service providers can't defend or compete with these large corporations who have, the scale and everything, the economies of scale that the smaller guys don't have. And realistically, the FCC just, and local state regulators don't really care to diversify like the ISPs and provide funding to smaller guys. So I mean, it's just really like, this just means that he's just going to give the existing corporate ISPs more power. That's what I interpret that as. Unless that so here's the double-edged sword here. This could also mean though that that what I was talking about earlier, where if a local ISPs want to if a new ISP wants to be created, and then that they have to be approved by local legislation, then that should mean that goes away, and so it opens up the field to these smaller guys. That could be a something that could be nice. And then at that point there is actual competition, because the smaller guys aren't going to charge as much for the other shit, the other, all the other fees, the data caps, whatever. Like, that's just, they don't really want that. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting times. Chris Lewis, president and CEO of consumer advocacy group Public Knowledge, told Arse that Carr appears to be a leading candidate for chairmanship because of his experience and active presence in trying to chart a course for Republicans on telecom policy, with the Project 2025 chapter being a prime example. And also, it's kind of funny that they, Trump's will try to separate himself from 2025, but dude, you have you're appointing people who wrote parts of the thing, it's come on.
Public knowledge generally argues that the FCC should take a bigger role in regulating internet providers. The public expects that there is an agency protecting consumers over communication networks, and I think it would be wise for the new majorities and new administration to be clear-headed about that, Lewis said. And that's realistically what these FCC, FTC, like, they're there to stick up for consumers. And if and notice that Carr, the potential candidate, has nothing about sticking up for consumers. Like, it's like, no, he wants to be accountable to itself. It just doesn't care about the consumers. I mean, unleashing economic prosperity, like, okay, promoting national security, reining in big tech. I don't know. I don't see anything about like helping people. I guess it's all about the personal agenda of the party or the person. The FCC should have 4 primary goals, Carr wrote. These goals are reining in big tech, promoting national security, unleashing economic prosperity, and ensuring FCC accountability and good governance. On big tech, Carr wants to implement Trump's 2020 plan to crack down on social media websites for alleged anti-conservative bias, which, yeah, anyways. At the time, Trump formally petitioned the FCC to reinterpret Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act in a way that would limit social media platforms' legal protections for hosting third-party content when the platforms take down content they consider objectionable. Literally what this is going to become, if this goes into case, it's going to become, this social media is for left-leaning, this social media is for right-leaning. Each social media claiming to be on one side is going to lobby lawsuits against each other because there's going to be hate speech and other things that then the platform is going to be responsible for, and it's just going to be a fight like that to the point where those companies are going to it's going to spiral out of control to the point where it's going to be so limiting of free speech. Like, it's actually going to be opposite of the effect that they think is going to happen, because these platforms don't want the liability of potential propaganda from the far left or far right. Like, it's like, it's just going to be literally going to make it worse. And also, like, I don't know, if Elon Musk really wants to have Twitter be the public town hall or whatever, then you kind of have to let both sides be on there. You don't just want to you just don't want to be an echo chamber, which it's already becoming, especially places like X/Twitter. I don't know. Trump was so keen on getting this done in 2020 that he withdrew his renomination of then Commissioner Michael O'Reilly, a Republican who took the party line on most issues but did not support Trump's attempt to punish social networks. See, like, this is the crazy thing, is like, even like the Republican who Trump wants is like, yeah, I don't know about that one. Like, that one might be a tough one, but I don't know. Trump doesn't really care about that. Trump in the Senate replaced O'Reilly with Nathan Symington, who was a member of the Trump administration before becoming an FCC commissioner just before Trump's term ended. Symington is another possible chairman and has similar views as Carr, but Carr has a longer tenure on the FCC and has sought the media spotlight more than Symington. This is not good. If you're looking for like the attention, like, that's never a good sign. In Project 2025 publication, Carr's reining in big tech section said the FCC should issue an order that interprets Section 230 in a way that eliminates the expansive non-textual immunities that courts have read into the statute. I don't really know exactly what that would mean. Eliminate the expansive non-textual immunities. The FCC has an important role to play in addressing the threats to individual liberty posed by corporations that are abusing dominant positions in the market. Nowhere is that clearer than when it comes to big tech in its attempts to drive diverse political viewpoints from the digital town square. Wait. The FCC has an important role to play in addressing the threats to individual liberty posed by corporations that are abusing dominant positions in the market. Nowhere is that clearer than when it comes to big tech in its attempt to drive diverse political viewpoints. Yeah, bro,
I'm so confused because this is, he essentially wants it. He doesn't want it to have diverse political viewpoints. That's what I'm reading this as. Nowhere is it clear that when it comes to big tech and its attempt to drive diverse political viewpoint from the digital town square. But like, you just know that there's going to be exceptions for the, you know, Elon, for X, now that he owns Elon Musk and things, like, you know, it's clear. I don't know. I just feel like this is some fictional or like fabricated view that, you know, there's, I guess, like right-leaning people have, and it's also kind of the similar view. I mean, like they have similar views on more traditional news too, you know. And I actually have a book, I don't know where, but it's called What Liberal Media, because the largest news corporations, Fox News, is, you know, it's literally the largest news corporation, you know, it's the right-leaning one. And even if you take all the other ones, like it's still about even in terms of like left-leaning and right-leaning, like more traditional political like news outlets, like, and it seems like it's kind of taking that stance here with now social media, and it's just kind of a part of like the rhetoric. I need to see the data realistically to understand more, but just, you know, taking the vibes check here, and that's kind of what I'm feeling. All right, this is long, but we'll skip around. Lewis said, so First Amendment, Lewis said public knowledge is worried that changes to Section 230 would harm the ability of online platforms to moderate content or choose not to moderate content, because companies could face great legal liability for those choices if 230 is weakened or scrapped. Yeah, so essentially, if, you know, Joe from wherever posts a offensive meme on Facebook, Facebook now is liable for the offensive things that they would post. And like that's like social media just wouldn't work. I don't know. It just wouldn't really work like that. Or it just wouldn't work. Like those companies would just go away, or they would just ban anyone who says anything remotely controversial. O'Reilly argued in a July 2020 speech that apparently angered Trump that the FCC shouldn't regulate this area. The First Amendment protects us from limits on speech imposed by the government, not private actors. And we should all reject demands in the name of the First Amendment for private actors to curate or publish speech in a certain way. O'Reilly said at the time, like it or not, the First Amendment protection applied to corporate entities, especially when they engage in editorial decision making. And that's the double-edged sword here. As much as one side or the other doesn't want, wants to rein in like the other side, it's up to whoever's discretion to, free speech means that the mean things that you don't like are also going to be surfacing, or allowed. And, the other side's mean things that they don't like are going to be surfacing it around. Then you have places like Truth Social or whatever, where it's like, obviously, conservatives only essentially. And like, they could ban anyone who's left leaning if they want, and that's okay. It's like, and like, I'm sure that they're okay with that. Like, they like that when the opposite comes about. It's like they it's free speech. You have to allow people on the platform like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of free speech is a weird one, especially now on social media. It's yeah. Carr claimed in his Project 25 chapter that the FCC has authority to take this action because Section 230 is codified in the Communications Act, and he pointed to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thompson's views on the law as evidence that the FCC can act. Carr's chapter also said the FCC could address TikTok's threat to U.S. national security, saying the Chinese-owned social network provides Beijing with an opportunity to run a foreign influence campaign by determining the news and information that the app feeds to millions of Americans. But last week, when I covered Trump's policies, he actually flip-flopped on TikTok and might actually not get it banned, even though he's the original one who wanted it banned. So Carr's views might be outdated compared to Trump, I guess. All right, cover these last one and wrap up. Carr's desperate to become the FCC chair. Free Press co-CEO Jessica Gonzalez said, "It's bizarre that a sitting FCC commissioner would engage in such a blatant and wrong-headed attempt to curry a favor with a presidential candidate. But this is just the sort of reckless behavior we've come to expect from Brendan Carr. You'd expect an FCC commissioner to be familiar with his own agency's regulation. Instead, Carr seems willing to concoct falsehoods if it means he'll get noticed by the former president." That's insane, bro. Like, Gonzalez added, "It's no secret around Washington that Carr is desperate to become the FCC chair should Trump be elected president. First, Carr wrote a chapter in the widely discredited policy platform for Project 2025, a far-right master plan to disassemble U.S. democracy. Now he's making grossly inaccurate claims about communications law to win points with former president." Like, how do you get on Trump's good side? Just lie, you know? Carr continued claiming that NBC violated... Carr continued claiming NBC violated the rule even after Trump was given free TV time. NBC and SNL decided to bring just one candidate on less than 50 hours before the election day. He wrote on November 6th, "The FCC has previously addressed these types of last-minute situations. I encourage any candidate that does not believe in their equal time rights. We're honored to bring the issue forward to the FCC for adjudication." Now, okay, yeah, this is Carr saying that. I thought it was NBC saying that. Yeah, bro, but like, that's crazy. Like, you just know that it's just gonna be like, there's gonna be false accusations. I don't know. Okay. Carr wants to help internet service providers achieve a long-held dream of making tech companies pay for broadband network upgrades. Carr's Project 2025 chapter said the FCC should require that big tech begin to contribute a fair share into the FCC's roughly $9 billion universal service fund. The fund has long been paid for by telecom companies, which generally pass the cost on to consumers on their telephone bills. Exactly. While big tech drives tremendous value from the federal government, universal service investments using those federally supported networks to deliver their products and realize significant profits. These large corporations have avoided paying fair share into the program, Carr wrote, which this actually does align with kind of what I was saying, where big tech should have every incentive to increase broadband speeds and the reach, of broadband, just because they benefit when more people are online or have better access to the internet. So kind of agree with that. Now it says pass the cost on the consumers on the telephone bill. The thing is, they would just never lower prices, and so like we'll continue to foot the bill, even though behind the scenes it may have been cheaper, because they just look at it as bigger margins and more money they could bring in, I guess. The Biden administration urged Europe to reject a similar idea last year, saying that payments from online platforms to ISPs would distort competition and undermine net neutrality. And also, like I was saying, though, the other problem is that it's likely going to be one big tech's money going into another big tech's, one big tech's money going to a different big tech's pocket. You're just going to be passing it around. The European plan was also criticized by Meta, Google, Netflix, and the body of European regulators for electronic communications. I mean, obviously, because it's going to come out of their pockets, so they don't want it. And especially Netflix, because they use so much bandwidth, so they'd probably be in there paying. The group of regulators from European countries said it found no evidence of free riding by tech companies or evidence that ISP's costs weren't fully covered. Again, I mean, this is Europe, but it's essentially proof that there's like no reason why tech companies, the ISPs, should be raising prices. If he became chair, Carr would have significant influence over which companies get money from the Universal Service Fund. Carr was angry about the FCC decision to reject Starlink application to receive $885 million in broadband funding. Now, though, this comes into question, though, because if Carr's just doing everything he can to get the Trump's attention, then this is literally trying to play into like Elon Musk and Trump's favor to oppose that. Like, it just fits within that rhetoric. The grant was tentatively awarded during Pi's tenure, but canceled in a 2022 ruling that called Starlink a nascent low Earth orbit satellite technology with recognized capacity constraints, which is true. But that seems to be lifting off with the next generation of Starlink satellites. but that's also dependent on Starship being operational. The Biden-era FCC had earlier pointed out that Pi's system for choosing grant winners led to complaints that the program was poised to fund broadband to parking lots in well-served urban areas. It's like, why does the parking lot need a gig fiber? When the FCC rejected Starlink's appeal in 2023, Carr said the FCC's decision certainly fits with the Biden administration's pattern of regulatory harassment. The FCC, Carr said, is one of a growing list of administrative industries that are taking action against Elon Musk businesses. He alleged that the Biden administration is choosing to prioritize its political and ideological goals at the expense of connecting Americans. I mean, like, that just, like, obviously he's going to say that it fits too well into the, you know, the current rhetoric for against Elon Musk and, like, for the Republicans. Like, it makes, you know, just, I don't know, it makes sense that he would say that. Is it true? I don't know. All right, we'll finish up here. Killing broadband regulation. Carr also wants to help ISPs avoid regulation. A Carr-led FCC would likely drop the agency's legal defense of its net neutrality rules, which is crazy. And that defense is off to a rocky start in court already. Wonder if that's good or bad. Oh, God. It's not over, but 3 judges said ISPs are likely to succeed on the merits. How do you fix this? California and other states have been regulating net neutrality themselves since the Pi FCC eliminated Obama-era rules that prohibited paid prioritization and blocking or throttling of lawful traffic. So, I mean, fortunately for California, but unfortunately for those outside, hopefully California could, you know, use some of its power to help keep net neutrality, but we'll see. The next FCC chair could try to revive Pi's attempt to preempt state laws, which was rejected in court in 2019. I mean, it was already rejected in court. I don't know. Carr would likely try to halt or unwind other initiatives that Democratic Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel, saying that wrong, sorry, has undertaken to help broadband consumers. Carr dissented last year in the FCC's 3-2 decision to impose rules that prohibit discrimination in access to broadband services. Carr described Rosenworcel's discrimination proposal as President Biden's plan to give the administration state effective controls of all internet services and infrastructure in the United States, claiming it was motivated by an ideology of government control that is not compatible with the fundamental precepts of free market capitalism. Bro, we don't live, United States is not a free market capitalistic society, bro. So sorry to burst your bubble, but hasn't been like this for years. We live in a mixed market economy. Rosenworcel last month announced a formal inquiry into data caps to consider their effect on consumers and whether the FCC has authority to regulate them. In dissent, Carr said, "I cannot support the Biden-Harris administration's inexorable march towards rate regulation, and that the FCC plainly does not have the legal authority to regulate data caps." Yeah, but that's been held up in court like before. Also, the FCC could regulate data speeds. So how's that any different than data caps? You know, there's minimum requirements that they have to meet. I mean, he would probably not want that either, but he also said that data caps can be good for internet users. Bro, what? Okay, let's listen to this. Prohibiting customers from choosing to purchase plans with data caps, which are more affordable than unlimited ones, necessarily regulates the services rates that they are paying for. Yes, but the fundamental thing that he doesn't get is that this is arbitrary. The corporations are making it so that the cheaper ones don't have the data caps. They're arbitrarily adding these things in. So it's like, sure, your point may be good, but it doesn't hold up because the corporations are arbitrarily putting in these things. You know, they could snap their fingers and not have it be the case, but they just, you know, they want the money. They need to keep, you know, having the line go up. And all this is that
those with more money get more freedom. And that's also definitely a trend with like the Trump administration. Like, I mean, like it's everything to benefit those with higher wealth, and that those who don't are essentially shit out of luck to sticking up for themselves, or at least having the government stick up for them, which is generally what the government should do. They should be raising the quality of life of everyone around them. If what they're doing doesn't raise the quality of life of the people, then they're not doing their job. Making it so that those with more money, the rich people, could essentially pay for more freedom does not sound like a good deal to me. Lewis told Arst that ditching the data cap inquiry means that we will miss out on opportunities to look at when broadband providers preference its own streaming services or other service over a competitor's. Ending the data caps probe will mean we will not be able to look at those sorts of specific cases and see if there's an anti-competitive practice. Government for the people, by the people. Exactly. So yeah, we're in for a bumpy ride here at the FCC. I also plan to follow this closely because I think that it's interesting, and also has a lot to do with like the tech industry. Same with the FTC. I'm interested to follow them as well because again, Lena Khan right now is big on antitrust and has been doing a lot to rein in big tech. So I'm curious about how these government regulations will kind of trickle down, I guess. Yeah, that's why I originally started this, because I wanted to cover government regulation on tech. So I still plan to cover that. So yeah, it's an interesting time. Interesting time. It's also very interesting how he really wants to be like chair. Like I don't know why. I just think that's kind of an interesting like that he's kind of like lobbying or like campaigning to be that. So yeah. We'll cover one more story here, just a quickie, and then I think tomorrow we'll talk about the internet traffic shifts during the election and the internet disruption summary, and I'll do some more research into those because I think it'll be cool, and we'll do some more new stuff. But I wanted to cover this because this is another trend I'm starting to see now that I'm covering like news more closely, and we did a deep dive the other week on smart glasses. And here comes Amazon now developing. This is a great, use case for them. Amazon developing driverless eyeglasses to shave seconds off delivery, sources say. I have to read like this if I want the whole article. Sorry. I guess Reuters is paywalled now. Which, bro, CNN is paywalled. I tried to read an article on CNN. Everyone is moving to a paywall. It's like, bro, where could you even get free news now? NPR, PBS? Bro, it's crazy. Like, I don't browse this casually, but like the stories they cover are just so different than like what others do. It's interesting. I want to try and read something just to see. Veterans Day. Oh yeah, today's Veterans Day. What is it? This is like 2 sentences. What even is this article? Maybe it's not paywalled here. Anyways, fear and greed index. That's cool. Kind of stuff I like. This is like the cyberpunk dystopia index. Yeah, greed is definitely driving the market, because if tariffs get involved or those go through, like, we're gonna be jumping to fear. Because they're greedy right now if you're trying to, if you don't think that those tariffs will affect the stock market. This is interesting. I've never seen this before. Interesting that options are down. This means that, I feel like this means that the market's kind of unpredictable. When the ratio of puts of calls rising, it's usually a sign of investors are growing more nervous. A ratio above 1 is considered bearish. The fear and greed index also uses bearish options. Interesting. So maybe it's the opposite. Anyways, Amazon is developing smart eyeglasses for its delivery drivers to guide them to, around, and within buildings as it tries to smooth the final stretch of an order's journey to a customer's home. Now, is this the most efficient way to be using these glasses for Amazon? It's interesting that they picked the last stretch of the home to help them and not somewhere else. So that must be a struggle that they have then. That's interesting. Glasses could be shelved if they do not work as envisioned. Amazon faces challenges with battery life and data gathering. Convincing thousands of drivers to use the glasses may be difficult. Why? You'd be like, this helps you do your job better, like, or makes your job easier. Like, why would you not want to use that? That's all you have to say to me, and I'd be like, say less, bro. Give me those bad boys. Amazon is developing smart eyeglasses for its delivery drivers to guide them to, around, and within buildings as it tries to smooth the final stretch of an order's journey to a customer's home. 5 people familiar with the matter said. Now, we have Apple getting in on the smart glasses, Meta, who's by far the furthest along than anyone. So I mean, Microsoft doesn't, but like, I don't know, they could be now that everyone's working on this tech, everyone's going to want to jump on the bandwagon. Google is 100% going to be going for this because, especially as a smartphone replacement, since they make smartphones now, Pixels. Samsung probably. I mean, like, this seems to be a very early market right now, but I have a feeling that it's gonna be bigger, and companies are going to start investing in this as they see their competition starting to do so as well. If successful, the glasses would provide drivers with a turn-by-turn navigation on a small embedded screen along their routes and at each stop, according to the people who spoke to Reuters on condition of anonymity, because the project is not public. Man, I can't speak today. Such directions could shave valuable seconds off each delivery by providing left or right directions off elevators and around obstacles such as gates or aggressive dogs. This is so funny because I'm just picturing like a first person view of like Amazon driver, and like, there's like a HUD in the world, and it's like, they collect data at every house they go to, and so it's like lists like history of like dog incidents or whatever. It's like, you have a 62% chance of being attacked by a dog, like approach with caution. Or the gates. Ugh. It's like it's yeah. Flashing pee break countdown timer. Yeah. Like, oh man, there's so many funny things that could happen with this. Like, it's very cyberpunk dystopian, but it's like, so it's messed up for the drivers, but looking at it in the frame of cyberpunk, like it's like literally like we're getting there. With millions of packages delivered daily, seconds add up. The glasses would also free drivers from using handheld global positioning GPS devices, allowing them to carry more packages. And it's crazy because this is all just to make them more efficient at like doing their job. It's like literally seconds they're taking off, but like in the long run, that adds up over time. It's like making them more efficient, carry more packages. It's like, yeah. See, like, this is where it will start, and then it will trickle into consumer product stuff. Like, this is like in terms of like a business, they kind of need to have justification to develop things like this. And then, yeah. The project underscores the online seller's efforts to reduce delivery costs per package and support margins as it fights increased competition with Walmart, which has stepped up its e-commerce efforts and cut prices. Walmart is paying independent delivery drivers new incentives to deliver online orders during the holiday season, the retailer told Reuters. Amazon delivery glasses, the people warned, could be shelved or delayed indefinitely if they do not work as envisioned or for financial or other reasons. The source, they said, may take years to perfect.
Yeah, and this is also key because it's going to be years. Like even Meta's Orion glasses that they created, they even themselves are like, yeah, like we just can't mass produce this, and it's like it's actually just not even that good to the point where we're not going to sell it, and it's going to take us a while to iterate on this. And they're the furthest people ahead, it seems like. So unless they Amazon or inks a partnership or something, but yeah, I do wonder like more into like the startup space if there's any smart glasses startups. And I think there's a difference though between essentially wearing a screen and like them replacing the phone, because there's plenty of ones that you could plug into your phone or whatever and just like you essentially wear a screen, like the glasses are a screen, and like them actually replacing your phone. I think replacing the phone is more so like the one I'm talking about, because I don't know, the screen ones are kind of like cool, like, but they just didn't really solve a problem, I guess. The phones are kind of the net, or the Meta's like Orion glasses are their envision of like the next phone replacement, which I think is a bit more ambitious and solves a bit more of a problem, I guess. Yeah. We're continually innovating to create an even safer and better delivery experience for drivers, an Amazon spokesperson said. When asked about the driver's eyeglasses, we otherwise don't comment on our product roadmap. Amazon worked for years to develop an in-house delivery network, including its own airline, long-haul trucking, and sprawling suburban warehouses. In doing so, it hopes to speed deliveries and pare expenses by reducing its reliance on couriers like UPS and FedEx. Amazon's shipping costs rose 8% in the third quarter to $23 billion. Whoa, that's interesting. I wonder why. Yeah, and this is what makes me very bearish on UPS and FedEx, because like Amazon just like I don't know how much of their business FedEx and UPS, how much Amazon was giving them, like how much of their business they were giving them, but it was a large portion. And if Amazon just completely does their own logistics network and even offers third parties, like non-Amazon sellers, spots to like, you know, their logistic network, essentially opening it up to just being a more like open logistic network, not necessarily just for Amazon's purposes, that would literally put UPS and FedEx like not out of business, but it would shrink their market cap, I bet. And that's, I don't know, it's an interesting thought, because there's only a few players in it, and Amazon kind of started from scratch in terms of like creating their own logistics companies. And yeah, they're literally doing exactly what UPS and FedEx are, so it's interesting. The last mile for deliveries is costly and complicated because it requires navigating neighborhoods, deploying more couriers, and using more fuel. By some estimates, half the cost of a product's trip to a customer's doorstep lies in the last mile. Wow. And you know, Amazon has their electric Rivian vans though, so I wonder what the impact of pricing, like how that impacted pricing, if that made it cheaper or kept it the same or even more expensive. Because I mean, theoretically, you know, assuming that they use some sort of renewable to power warehouses and in turn charge the vans, like you could have near free electricity. Yeah, Rivian made those. Amazon bought a large like stake in Rivian in order for them to make those. I want one so bad. Like I would buy one aftermarket, bro. That like I would mob one of those around. Be so cool. Turn into a camper van. I don't know how I would charge it, but yeah, Rivian made those. No, they're Rivian vans. Rivian yeah, these. On a daily drive one of these bad boys. Yeah, look at this. Oh, couch back there. And look at this though, like this is the cool part. You probably have to like jailbreak this to get not like third party software, but a Sprinter. Yeah, I mean this, I feel like it's kind of the same thing, but I just think these are cool because they're more built for like commercial use, but like I don't know, I think cool to like try and use them in a personal setting. I mean realistically though, like a Sprinter is more practical because you could have an alternator generate energy and stuff, but yeah. What was I reading? Oh yeah, here. Electric minivan. Yeah. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Yeah. There has to be an electric minivan. Now Amazon has focused its attention in the last 100 yards, 91 meters. Thanks, writers. In October, it unveiled a scanner it will install on delivery vans' ceiling to direct drivers to packages for each stop, shining a green spotlight on them, saving them time usually spent reading labels. That's cool, and that's what I assume like the glasses would help with too, but like I guess yeah, just put it in the van, like you don't even need to wear anything. That's interesting. Delivery glasses in the development build on Amazon Echo Frame smart glasses. Oh, they had some, which allows users to listen to audio and use voice commands from Alexa, Amazon's virtual assistant. People that like these are so worthless though. I didn't even know they had any. I don't want to leak. They're $330 and all they give you is a voice assistant. But the pictures aren't even loading. $330. Listen to music and still take in the world around you with anything in your ear. Designed to protect your privacy. Double press the action button to mute the microphones. Okay. There's something ironic about it's like designed to protect your privacy. It's like, well, you guys are the one breaking it. Like, what? $330. That's crazy. It's interesting that it's a part of their Echo. Like, they're just building off of these though. Like, I wonder how good they did. Known by the internal code name Amelia. That's interesting. The Amazon delivery glasses would rely on a small display on one of the lenses and could take photos of delivered packages as proof for customers, the sources say. This is literally Google Glass though. This is like, isn't really provide much. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you next stream. Appreciate you showing up. Amazon released in September an unrelated chatbot for third-party sellers that is also known as Amelia. Interesting, but it's for sellers. But the technology is still in development. Amazon has had trouble making a battery that can last a full 8-hour shift and still be light enough to wear all day without causing fatigue, the people said, as well as gathering complete data on each house, sidewalk, street curb, and driveway could take years, they said. I mean, yeah, I mean, Google Street View could be information like that, but that's also pretty outdated. That'd be interesting if they almost collect data like Street View does to add on to this. I mean, yeah, and the battery life is definitely the problem. Meta has been with theirs, like their battery life is like 2 hours, I think, only. I wonder what the Google Glass battery life was like. Battery life. Is 1 day of typical use. Features like video recording, however, can drain battery even more quickly, the company warns. Yeah. Oh yeah, 5,700 milliamp. Oh, bro, yeah, it's nothing. I mean, that's all you could fit though, probably in this
you know, in here. But the technology is still in development, and Amazon has had trouble making a battery that can last, full 8 hours. Weird about that. Delivery drivers visit more than 100 customers per shift, Amazon said. With increased efficiency, Amazon could ask drivers to ferry more packages and visit more homes. Yeah, I mean, they just want to squeeze the productivity out of everything, out of their more productivity for the drivers instead of hiring more. The Seattle company could face other obstacles, including convincing its thousands of drivers to use the eyeglasses, which may be uncomfortable, distracting, or unsightly, the people said. Not to mention the fact that some drivers already wear corrective glasses. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, unless you like customize the prescription to every individual driver, or like it would be so uncomfortable to wear them on top of your glasses too. However, much of Amazon's delivery force consists of outside companies, meaning Amazon could make wearing the glasses a contractual requirement. Bro, that's crazy. Yeah, okay, yeah, because Amazon's delivery force consists of outside companies, because you could essentially create a third party. I remember reading about this, like it was like short, I think it was around COVID time. Or before COVID time, but like Amazon was giving like grants or like investments into third-party delivery companies who will then deliver for Amazon, and kind of like, and then it leaves it up to that operator to kind of maintain the fleet of vehicles, in its the drivers and such. And so if Amazon just goes down to those, you know, delivery companies, be like, hey, you know, contractual requirement now, you want to keep doing business, make your drivers wear these. And I mean, they don't really have many options. Sales of the company's consumer wearable Echo frames have been disappointing, two of the people said. Had sold fewer than 10,000 units in the most recent generation. Bro, that's nothing. That's nothing. Because I mean, they don't really solve a problem, they're just kind of a bit gimmicky. Embedded screen in development is also slated for a future generation of the Echo frames that could be released as soon as 2026 second quarter. Two of the people said. The Technology Roundup newsletter brings here. Yeah, so interesting. So I think I'm gonna actually make a. I was just thinking about this when I was reading. Make a prediction video or something, because I feel like we're going to see more investment in smart glasses, especially from other big tech companies. Apple's already showed interest, and then we have Meta. I think that there's going to be more of an interest in the future in things like smart glasses. And especially since I've been covering tech news, you know, these past few weeks more closely, it's been something that's popped up and I've noticed. All right. I think that's gonna do it for today. We'll go over this Cloudflare write-up tomorrow, I think, and maybe even this Cloudflare write-up tomorrow too. I think it's interesting to see kind of what other companies are doing with their internet, especially ones that don't want their citizens to speak up. And, you know, since so much traffic routes through Cloudflare, they have good insights on things like this. So yeah, thank you for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. the usual, for more emerging tech news. I'm also doing a bit more of a deeper look at AI's use in defense, so stay tuned for either a stream dedicated to that or a separate YouTube video. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific.